Lech-lecha me'artzecha, mi'moladtecha, mi'beis avicha, el ha'oretz asher areka. Avram Avinu is given this mitzvah, the first mitzvah that he's given, and which actually becomes the first of his 10 nisyonot, his first tests. Is he willing to abandon everything, his birthplace, his origin, his family house and everything, and to make his way to an unknown destination? Here's a very interesting thing, actually, that he's told El Ha'aretz Asher Areka. He's not really told what his destination is. It's a place where you will not, when you arrive there, you'll know that you've arrived. So how does he know whether to turn left or to turn right? Takes out a map, got a GPS. Where's he going to go to? You have to say, in some sense, say the Mefarshim, that Avram Avinu is relying on some sort of a spiritual homing instinct, that he knows he has to go to a place which is his spiritual homeland. And he comes to Eretz Canaan, eventually to become Eretz Yisrael. But he knows that, when he gets there, he knows that this is the place to be. There's something about the resonance of the land which gives him this homing instinct, the same way as migrating birds travel tens of thousands of miles without a compass, without a map, and without ways, but they know where they're going to. They understand it intuitively. Avram knew El Ha'aretz Asher Areka where he was going, and he understood, and this is part of the beauty of the land of Israel. From the very, very first pasuk of the Parsha, we see that the land of Israel is going to play a key role in the whole story. And indeed, we find that 4 separate times in this week's Parsha, more than anywhere else in the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Avraham Avinu, "Lezarecha eten es haaretz hazos la'achuzat olam," that this land will become the eternal heritage of you and all your descendants. And this is a central theme in the whole Parsha, coming back again and again. We'll speak about that in one moment. But I'll call upon him, Avraham Avinu, from the very beginning. He's sent on a message. He's sent on a trip, on a spiritual odyssey, a spiritual mission to find the correct place on earth where he will feel that spiritual resonance, which will enable him to live his life spiritually to the fullest. A nice little gematria here, just for those people who like gematrias, that the word Lech-lecha, Lamed Kaf, is a gematria of 100. And indeed, Avraham Avinu, the Pasuk tells us at this point, is 75 years old, and he lives to be 175. So in actual fact, he's going to be living for 100 years in the land of Israel. And during that 100 years, lots of things will happen, right? The whole of Lech-lecha, Vayera, Chayesara, these are all the parshas of Avraham Avinu, where he goes through Asara Nisyonos. He goes through 10 tests, 10 events, which are very difficult for him, but V'omad b'kulam, and in all of them, he is successful. He passes all these tests. And what does it mean, these tests? So here's a very interesting idea, which connects to this bracha to Hashem Mogein Avraham, that we say every day more than once at the beginning of our tefillas. This bracha doesn't ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for anything. We're not asking. It's not a bakasha. It's not a request. It's a statement. It's a statement that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is protecting Avraham. But Avraham is already for 3,700 years not living in this world. He's not in any danger. Why does he need any protection? And the answer, says the Sfas Emes, is we're asking that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should protect the spark of Avraham inside the neshama of each and every one of us. Every man and woman in Klal Yisrael has a bit of spiritual DNA from Avraham Avinu inside of us, and that spiritual DNA resonates with all the great spiritual achievements of Avraham Avinu, if we know how to access it. And the primary one, says the Sfas Emes, is going to the land of Israel, the love for the land of Israel, and the intuitive feeling that that is the right place to be. That is Mogein Avraham. It's a very beautiful, powerful idea, as I say, which is repeatedly appears in Parshas Lech-lecha in so many different ways. But it's interesting that Avraham Avinu, when he's promised from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that all his descendants will inherit the land of Israel, he questions it. Bama Eida ki irashena. How do I know? How is it possible that this will happen? And the various different perushim to this. But the simple pshat is, the Mefarshim bring here down, that he's asking, how can I be certain? B'derech hateva, according to the natural way of events, my descendants, maybe they'll lose their focus, they'll lose their emunah, maybe they'll forget their destiny. How do I know that my descendants will come back to this land? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him this covenant, the covenant of the Bris Bein Absarim, and this is a pasuk actually which we say on Leil Seder. On Seder night, one of the most powerful psukim we quote is the pasuk from Avraham Avinu in the Bris Bein Absarim in Lech-lecha, Yodoya Teida Kigeri Erzarcho Beretz Lolohem V'avodum V'inu Osam Abba Me'ashana. Right? You should know that indeed your children, your descendants will go through exiles, diasporas, persecutions, expulsions. They'll go through slavery and all sorts of difficulties, but they will come back, B'rechush Godol. They will come back with a great rechush, a great spiritual power and spiritual strength. And that is really the most beautiful prediction of Parshas Lech-lecha for all of us, that we will all find our way back to Eretz Yisrael in the most in the best way possible. But it's interesting that Avraham Avinu asks the question, and he's told a very interesting pasuk. And this pasuk is learnt in some detail in the Gemara in Shabbos Daf Kuf Nun Vav, where the pasuk here reads that when Avram asks, "How do I know that it's really going to happen?" So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Vayotze osa hachutza." He took him outside and looked at the night sky, and he says, "Sephora kachavim, count the stars. Ko yezarecha, your children will be like the stars of the cosmos. The stars of the cosmos, you can't count them." Right? Even the Torah says, Lo tucha lisper, you can't count them. Maybe earlier generations thought, why can't we count the stars in the sky? We can see the stars of the sky. We can see them. Okay, on a clear day, maybe there are a few 100,000 of them, but we can certainly count them. In actual fact, in the last 3 years, we have the James Webb telescope out in space and has shown us that actually in our galaxy, in the Milky Way, there are probably 100 billion stars, and there are another 2 or 3 trillion other galaxies out there. So the numbers can't be counted, because each of the stars themselves could have planets going around it. We don't know, because they don't generate light. And so the actual amount of stars in the cosmos is uncountable. And in the same way as you can't quantify the stars in the sky, but nevertheless they are there eternally, similarly Klal Yisrael, the power of Klal Yisrael, and the significance of the Jewish people and the descendants of Avraham Avinu, Ko yezarecha, your descendants will be like the stars in the sky. There's actually an interesting point here brought down by the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, that Avraham Avinu says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm childless. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, gives him this promise. But the Orach Chaim HaKadosh asks the question, what do you mean he's complaining he's childless? 2 chapters earlier in Lech-lecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already said to him that I'll give you Zaracha ka'afar haaretz. You will have as many children as the dust of the earth. Right? So the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says very beautifully that Avraham Avinu was not happy with that first promise. HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised him children, as many children as the dust of the earth. And he says, I don't want children like the dust of the earth. Children like the dust of the earth are blown around by the wind. I want children like the stars in the sky, where each one is unique, each one generates light, each one is me'ir es ha'olam, lights up the universe, and is indestructible. That's what I want. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually gives him an upgraded promise, not like the dust of the earth, but like the stars in the sky. I think it's a very beautiful peirush. But the idea of Vayotze osa hachutza, the Gemara says there in Gemara Shabbos Kuf Nun Vav, means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm taking you outside of the derech hateva. I'm taking you outside of the natural world. You will no longer be subject to the powers of destiny, the powers of fate, the powers of military or political or economic forces in this world. You will live, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, their destiny is not controlled by the powers of the Teva. Vayotze osa achutza, he takes him out. In the language of Chazal, ein mazal Yisrael means the mazalot, which represents all the physical powers in this world. They don't control the destiny of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are beyond the destiny. The Jewish people are beyond the physical realities and the physical powers of this world. And this is part of the promise, part of the Brit, the covenant that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes with Avraham Avinu, that in actual fact, he can be certain that the Bnei Yisrael will return to the land of Israel because they are indestructible like the stars of the cosmos. And this is one of the most powerful, beautiful images that come out of Parshas Lech-lecha. But it's interesting that Avram has a second Brit at the last chapter of this week's Parsha, which is the Bris Milah, the circumcision. And there as well, the etno brisi beini ubeinecha, I'll make a covenant with you, but the covenant here has got two sides to it. One of them is again Eretz Yisrael, the covenant for Israel, but the other one is vayisi lecha lelokim, that I will be a personal God for you. You will be able to have a personal connection with the Shekhinah, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashgacha Pratis, and this is the covenant, which is interesting because Avraham Avinu in Parshas Lech-lecha has got two different roles to play. One is the founding father of the Jewish people and of the land of Israel, but the other one is as the ultimate Yehudi, the ultimate Jew who is able to connect personally with HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Tefillah, through Chesed, through Emunah, in all the ways that Klal Yisrael have always related to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that is the Brit Milah. And so there we find that Avraham Avinu engages in these two covenants, both of which are existential statements. The statement of a covenant is, says the Sefer Ikrim in Maimon Daled, it means I cannot exist without you, and you cannot exist without me. It's an existential statement, an eternal existential statement. We're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can't live without you. We can't exist without our connection to you. And Hashem is saying, without you, Avram and your descendants, my world is meaningless. And that is the nature of the covenant, and that is what has protected Klal Yisrael midorei doros. And that is our hope and our wish for all future generations and for the land of Israel, that we should be able to reconnect with these britot of Avraham Avinu, and indeed Mogein Avram, to protect these spiritual sparks within us, in order that Be'etzem, the future of Klal Yisrael and the future of Eretz Yisrael is eternal and guaranteed by the covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'chein yihi rotzeh.